The UES Hyperion carved through the darkness of deep space, its quantum engines humming quietly as it approached the edge of known human territory. Commander Elena Torres stood at the bridge's observation window, her dark eyes fixed on the strange astronomical phenomenon ahead. A massive purple-tinged nebula that shouldn't have existed according to their star charts. "Commander, the energy signature is getting stronger," announced Dr. James Chen, the ship's chief scientist. His fingers danced across the holographic display, analyzing the mysterious readings that had drawn them to this unexplored region. "It's like nothing we've ever encountered before. The pattern suggests artificial origin, but the scale—" He shook his head in disbelief. Elena understood his amazement. The Hyperion was humanity's most advanced deep space vessel, equipped with technology that had seemed like science fiction just a decade ago. Yet these readings dwarfed anything their sensors were designed to measure. "Multiple objects detected within the nebula," reported Lieutenant Kira Petal from the tactical station. Her voice remained steady, but Elena could hear the undertone of excitement. Size estimates ranging from, "Commander, the smallest one is roughly twice the size of our ship. The largest—" She paused, double-checking her readings. "The largest is approximately the size of Manhattan." The bridge crew fell silent as the implications sank in. After centuries of space exploration, humanity had yet to encounter another spacefaring civilization. They'd found ruins, artifacts, and simple life forms, but never living beings with technology that could match or exceed their own. "Take us in closer, but maintain safe distance," Elena ordered. "Full defensive screens up. Dr. Chen, continue monitoring those energy signatures. Lieutenant Patel, I want detailed scans of those objects. Let's find out what we're dealing with." As the Hyperion edged closer to the nebula, the purple haze began to thin, revealing shapes that took their breath away. Massive vessels, their hulls gleaming with an iridescent material unknown to human science, hung motionless in space. Their design defied conventional engineering. Organic curves blending seamlessly with geometric patterns that seemed to shift and change as they watched. "Commander." Dr. Chen's voice cracked with urgency. "I'm detecting life signs. Thousands. No, millions of them. And there's something else. These ships, they're trapped in some kind of temporal distortion field. That's why they appear motionless. Time itself is moving differently inside the nebula." Before Elena could respond, a new signal cut through their communications. The bridge speakers crackled with a series of harmonic tones that made Elena's teeth vibrate. The ship's AI immediately began processing the signal, attempting to decipher any linguistic patterns. "This is Commander Elena Torres of the United Earth ship Hyperion," she broadcast, following first contact protocols. "We are here to offer assistance if needed." For several tense moments, only the harmonic tones replied. Then suddenly, the bridge's main view screen flickered to life. The image that appeared caused several crew members to gasp. The being looking back at them had a vaguely humanoid shape, but that's where the similarities ended. Its body appeared to be composed of crystalline structures that pulsed with internal light, and what seemed to be neural pathways flickered beneath a translucent outer layer. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the being spoke, its words translated by the ship's eye. "I am Nexus Guide Zilith of the Nixian Collective. We have been trapped in this temporal anomaly for what you would measure as 300 of your years, unable to escape or communicate with the outside universe until now. Our people are dying, Commander Torres. The temporal field is degrading our biocrystal matrix. We need your help." Elena straightened her uniform, acutely aware that this moment would be recorded in human history forever. "We'll do everything in our power to help you, Nexus Guide Zilith, but I need to understand exactly what we're dealing with." The crystalline being's light patterns shifted to a deeper hue. "Our fleet was attempting to traverse a natural wormhole when our experimental drive systems interacted catastrophically with the spatial fabric. The resulting temporal anomaly has held us in stasis, but the effect is failing. When it collapses completely, The energy release will destroy everything within this sector of space, including your own worlds at the edge of this region. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on Elena's shoulders. This wasn't just a rescue mission anymore. It was a race against time to prevent a catastrophe that could threaten both their civilizations. As she looked at her crew's determined faces, she knew humanity was about to face its greatest challenge yet. "Tell us everything you know about the anomaly," Elena said. "Together, we'll find a way to save your people." The holographic display in the Hyperion's main conference room painted the faces of the crew in an eerie purple glow as they studied the temporal anomaly's complex structure. Dr. Chen manipulated the display with precise gestures, highlighting the intricate layers of distorted space-time that held millions of Nixians captive. "The problem is exponentially more complex than we initially thought," he explained, his usually confident voice tinged with worry. "The Nixians' biocrystal matrix technology interfaced with the natural wormhole in ways our physics models can't fully explain. It's created a cascading temporal loop that's slowly collapsing in on itself." Commander Torres watched as the simulation showed the potential collapse, the purple nebula imploding into a devastating shockwave that would indeed reach Earth's outlying colonies. "How long do we have?" Based on the degradation rate of their biocrystal matrices, Dr. Chen projected new calculations into the air. "No more than 72 hours before the collapse becomes irreversible. The energy release would be equivalent to 1,000 supernovas." Lieutenant Pottle leaned forward, her tactical mind already working on solutions. "Could we use our quantum drives to generate a counterfield? Maybe stabilize the anomaly long enough to extract their ships?" "The Hyperion's engines aren't nearly powerful enough," Chief Engineer Marcus Rodriguez interjected, running his hand through his graying hair. "We'd need the combined power of Earth's entire fleet, and even then, the physics don't add up." The room fell silent as the magnitude of their task sank in. Humanity had never faced a challenge of this scale before. The lives of millions hung in the balance, along with the potential for unprecedented technological and cultural exchange, if they could solve this impossible puzzle. A soft chime announced the arrival of their Nixian guests. Nexus Guide Zilith entered alongside two other crystalline beings, their neural pathways flickering with rapid information exchange. The human crew tried not to stare at the beautiful and alien way they seemed to flow rather than walk. "We have reviewed your ship's technological capabilities." Xylith's harmonious voice filled the room. "Your quantum drive technology is fascinating, different from our approach to faster-than-light travel, yet elegant in its own way. However, we agree that it alone cannot resolve our crisis." Elena stood, facing the Nixian leader. "Tell us more about your biocrystal matrix technology. Understanding how it interfaces with space-time might be key to finding a solution." As Zelith explained, Dr. Chen's eyes widened with growing excitement. The Nixians had developed a way to integrate living crystal structures with consciousness itself, creating ships that were as much alive as they were machines. Their faster-than-light travel worked by temporarily merging their crystalline structures with the quantum fabric of space. "That's it," Dr. Chen suddenly exclaimed, startling everyone. His fingers flew across his tablet, calculations streaming across multiple holographic panels. "We've been thinking about this all wrong. We can't fight the temporal distortion, but we might be able to synchronize with it." He pulled up a new simulation, showing the Hyperion's quantum drive signature. "Our drive creates quantum tunnels through space by manipulating probability fields. If we could modify it to match the resonance frequency of the Nixian biocrystals, we could create a stable pathway through the temporal distortion." Xylith finished, their internal lights pulsing with what the humans were learning to recognize as excitement. "But the power requirements would still be beyond your ship's capabilities." Chief Rodriguez snapped his fingers. "Maybe not. What if we use the temporal distortion itself as a power source? Like a surfer riding a wave, we let the anomaly's own energy do most of the work." The room buzzed with renewed energy as humans and Nixians collaborated, bringing together two radically different approaches to physics and engineering. They worked through the night, Earth time, developing simulations and running calculations. Every failure brought new insights. Every dead end revealed new possibilities. But as the hours ticked by, they discovered a devastating complication. The modified quantum drive would need to be precisely calibrated to each Nixian ship's unique biocrystal frequency. A single mistake in the calculations could shatter the crystalline beings into atoms. Even if we get everything perfect, Lieutenant Patel pointed out, we can only sync with one ship at a time. There's no way to save everyone before the anomaly collapses. Elena watched the Nixian ships through the conference room's viewport, their trapped forms shimmering in the purple haze of the temporal distortion. There had to be a solution. Humanity hadn't come this far, hadn't stretched its reach to the stars, by giving up when things seemed impossible. What if, she said slowly, an idea forming, we don't try to save the ships one by one? What if we find a way to link them all together? Zilith's crystalline form sparkled with interest. The collective consciousness of our people. Yes, it might be possible. But it would require a deep integration between our technologies, a level of trust unprecedented between our species. Elena looked at her crew, seeing the same determination in their eyes that she felt. Trust has to start somewhere. Nexus Guide. And we're running out of time. The Hyperion's engineering bay had been transformed into a hybrid workshop that would have been unimaginable just days ago. Human quantum technology merged with Nixian biocrystals in ways that defied conventional physics, creating something entirely new. Chief Engineer Rodriguez stood before a towering crystalline structure that pulsed with both mechanical and organic energy, his weathered hands carefully adjusting connection points between human and alien tech. It's like trying to connect fiber optics to living tissue, he muttered, making another microscopic adjustment. But somehow, it's working. Dr. Chen monitored the energy readings from a nearby console, his eyes darting between multiple displays. The quantum resonance is holding steady at 97% synchronization. That's the highest we've achieved yet. The experimental device they dubbed the Bridge represented humanity's most ambitious engineering project to date. It combined the Hyperion's quantum drive core with a network of Nixian biocrystals, creating a system that could theoretically link with the trapped fleet's collective consciousness. Commander Torres watched as Nixian engineers moved through the workspace, their crystalline forms interfacing directly with both their own technology and the hybrid systems. The sight still filled her with wonder. Two species, separated by vast differences in biology and technology, working together to achieve the impossible. Time check, she called out. 43 hours until critical collapse. Lieutenant Paddle responded from her security station. The temporal distortion's degradation rate is accelerating. Zilith approached the bridge, their internal light patterns shifting in complex patterns. Your species continues to amaze us, Commander. We had believed our situation hopeless until you arrived. The way you approach problems, finding connections where none seemed possible, it is unlike anything in our experience. Elena smiled despite the pressure they were under. Humans have a long history of refusing to accept impossible situations. Sometimes our greatest achievements come from simply being too stubborn to give up. Commander, Dr. Chen's excited voice cut through the busy workspace. I think we found the key to stabilizing the neural interface. Look at this. He brought up a holographic display showing the quantum resonance patterns between human and Nixian technology. We've been trying to match their biocrystal frequency exactly, but what if that's the wrong approach? What if we deliberately create a harmonic displacement? Rodriguez snapped his fingers as he caught on. Like a musical chord instead of a single note, the slight differences could actually strengthen the connection instead of fighting against it. The theory proved correct. Within hours, they had achieved 99.9% synchronization. The bridge hummed with power, biocrystals pulsing in perfect harmony with the quantum core. But the hardest part still lay ahead. The physical connection is ready, Rodriguez reported, but interfacing with their collective consciousness. That's beyond any human experience. We don't even know if it's possible for our minds to process that kind of connection. Zillith's form sparkled with what the humans had learned to recognize as concern. The neural load would be devastating for most biological brains. Even with our crystalline structure, maintaining the collective link requires tremendous mental discipline. Elena stepped forward. Then we'll need a human mind that's already trained for exceptional neural loads. She turned to her crew. The Hyperion's neural interface system was designed for human pilots to handle complex quantum calculations during FTL jumps. I've logged more neural interface hours than anyone else on board. Commander, no. Lieutenant Patil protested. The risk of neural feedback alone cold could kill me, yes, Elena finished calmly. But we're talking about millions of lives against one. And we're out of time for alternatives. The preparation moved quickly after that. Elena sat in the neural interface chair as Dr. Chen and the Nixian engineers made final adjustments. The bridge's biocrystals pulsed with increasing intensity, creating patterns that seemed to reach into the depths of space itself. Neural interface initializing, Dr. Chen announced, his voice tight with concern. Commander, your brain activity is already spiking beyond safe levels. Elena gripped the chair's armrests as the first waves of sensation washed over her. It felt like her consciousness was being stretched across an infinite canvas, touching minds so alien yet somehow familiar in their hopes and fears. Full power to the bridge, she managed to say through gritted teeth, "Begin the sequence." As human and alien technology merged into one, Elena Torres prepared to attempt something no human had ever done before, linking her mind with an entire civilization to guide them home. The fate of two species now rested on this moment of unprecedented cooperation and trust. The universe exploded behind Elena's eyes. Her consciousness expanded beyond the confines of her human body, touching millions of crystalline minds in an instant. The sensation was overwhelming, like trying to drink an ocean through a straw. Every neuron in her brain fired simultaneously as it struggled to process the vast network of alien thoughts and memories. Neural patterns highly unstable. Dr. Chen's voice seemed to come from a great distance. Her mind is trying to accommodate too much input at once. Through the haze of interconnected consciousness, Elena felt Zillith's presence, a brilliant point of crystalline clarity in the chaos. Focus on my thoughts, Commander. Use them as an anchor. Do not try to understand everything at once. Elena latched onto the Nixian's mental signature, using it to organize the flood of information. Gradually, the cacophony of millions of minds resolved into something more structured, a vast crystalline network of thought and emotion that she could navigate. Status report, she managed to say, though her physical voice felt strange and disconnected. Bridge power at maximum capacity, Rodriguez reported. Quantum resonance holding steady. The temporal distortion is responding to the harmonic frequencies. Lieutenant Patel's voice cut through with urgency. Temporal collapse accelerating. We have less than 20 minutes before the point of no return. Elena pushed her consciousness deeper into the network, feeling the fear and hope of millions of trapped Nixians. Through their collective memory, she understood the full scope of their journey. A peaceful exploration mission that had gone catastrophically wrong, trapping 3 generations of their species in this purple prison of warped time. Beginning quantum synchronization, Dr. Chen announced. Commander, we need you to guide the collective consciousness through the quantum tunnel when it forms. Think of it like conducting an orchestra of minds. The analogy helped. Elena visualized the millions of Nixian minds as instruments in an impossibly vast symphony. The Hyperion's quantum drive provided the basic rhythm, while the biocrystals resonated with harmonies that stretched across dimensions. Then everything went wrong. Power surge in the bridge, Rodriguez shouted. The quantum harmonics are destabilizing. Elena felt it through the neural link, a discordant note that threatened to shatter the delicate connection between human and Nixian technology. The temporal distortion began to fluctuate wildly, threatening to tear apart both the trapped fleet and the Hyperion. The collective link is too complex. Xylith's thoughts resonated with alarm. Your human mind cannot maintain the connection pattern. But as the chaos increased, Alina remembered something from her childhood, watching her grandmother conduct a community orchestra. Sometimes, her grandmother had said, "You have to let the music guide itself. A conductor's job isn't to control every note, but to help all the parts find their natural harmony." With that thought, Alina stopped trying to direct the collective consciousness. Instead, she opened herself completely to it, becoming a conduit rather than a controller. She felt the Nixians' surprise, then understanding as they realized what she was doing. Quantum harmonic stabilizing, Dr. Chen reported with astonishment. The biocrystals are. They're self-organizing. Through their shared connection, Alina and the Nixians began to move as one. The tracked ships, massive as they were, started to pulse with synchronized energy. The temporal distortion, instead of fighting against them, began to resonate with their combined frequency. 15 minutes to critical collapse, Patel warned. Alina could feel the strain threatening to tear her mind apart, but she held on. The Hyperion's quantum drive spun up to maximum power, creating a tunnel through the distorted spacetime. But this was like no quantum tunnel ever created by human technology. It was alive, guided by the collective will of two species working in perfect harmony. "Now," Alina commanded, her voice carrying both human authority and Nixian harmony. "Everyone together." The first ship moved through the quantum tunnel, its biocrystal matrix briefly merging with the fabric of space itself before emerging safely on the other side. Then another and another. Through their shared consciousness, Alina felt the joy of each successful transit. But as the minutes ticked by, the strain on her human brain intensified. Blood began to trickle from her nose, and warning alarms blared from the medical monitors. "Commander, your neural patterns are reaching critical levels," Dr. Chen pleaded. "You need to disconnect." "Not until everyone is safe." Alina forced out each word through clenched teeth. She could feel the collective consciousness supporting her, millions of crystalline minds working to shield her biological brain from the worst of the feedback. The temporal distortion began its final collapse as the last ships made their transit. The Hyperion's hull groaned under the increasing gravitational stress. They were running out of time. The quantum tunnel flickered with unstable energy as the last massive Nixian vessel pushed through. Alina's consciousness stretched between two realities, the physical world of the Hyperion's bridge and the crystalline network of millions of minds. Her body shook with the effort of maintaining the connection as the temporal distortion entered its final phase of collapse. "All Nixian ships have cleared the anomaly," Lieutenant Puddle reported, her voice tight with urgency. "Commander, we need to go. Now." But Alina could still feel something through the neural link. A fragment of consciousness, a few dozen minds still trapped in the purple haze of distorted time. A small research vessel, disabled and forgotten in the chaos of the original accident. "There's one more," she gasped, blood now flowing freely from her nose and ears. "Can't leave them." A Hyperion's hull creaked under the increasing gravitational forces. Warning klaxons blared as systems began to overload. Through her blurred vision, Alina saw Dr. Chen's hands flying over his console, trying to maintain the deteriorating quantum harmonics. "The bridge can't take much more," Rodriguez warned. 30 seconds until total system failure. Alina felt Xylith's crystalline presence merge more deeply with her consciousness, lending strength to her failing neural patterns. Together, the Nixian leader's thoughts resonated through their connection. "Your courage will not stand alone." With their combined will, they reached through the collapsing quantum tunnel. The lost research vessel's biocrystal matrix responded weakly, its systems nearly depleted by centuries of temporal stasis. Alina pushed harder, channeling every bit of power the Hyperion could generate into one final effort. The small vessel emerged from the purple haze just as the temporal distortion began its catastrophic implosion. "Get us out," Alina screamed, her consciousness snapping back into her body with devastating force. The Hyperion's quantum drive engaged, hurling the ship away from the collapsing anomaly. A shockwave of temporal energy rushed outward, catching the edge of their quantum field. Time itself seemed to stretch and compress around them as they rode the wave of distorted space. When reality finally stabilized, Alina opened her eyes to find herself in the Hyperion's medical bay. Dr. Chen stood nearby, monitoring her neural patterns with concern. Her entire body ached, and fragments of crystalline thoughts still echoed in her mind. "How long?" she asked, her voice rough. 3 days, Chen replied softly. "We weren't sure you'd come back to us. The neural load should have been fatal." The Nixians. A familiar harmonic tone filled the room as Xylith entered, their crystalline form glowing with warm colors. "All safe, thanks to human courage and ingenuity. Even the lost research vessel's crew has been revived. Our biocrystal matrices are already regenerating from the temporal damage." Alina tried to sit up, but her body protested. "The bridge, did we learn enough? Can we replicate the technology?" "More than that," Dr. Chen said, unable to contain his excitement. "The neural interface data we gathered, combined with the Nixian biocrystal technology, it's revolutionary. We've already begun documenting the principles that made the integration possible. This could change everything: space travel, communications, even human consciousness itself." "But the greatest discovery," Xylith added, their thoughts carrying warmth that transcended their crystalline nature, "is that two species, despite vast differences in biology and perception, can join their minds and hearts in common cause. My people will never forget what humanity did for us." In the days that followed, as Alina recovered her strength, the implications of their shared adventure became clear. The Nixian fleet, rather than immediately departing for their homeworld, chose to establish a permanent diplomatic presence in human space. Their biocrystal technology, combined with human quantum engineering, sparked a renaissance in scientific development. Joint human Nixian research teams began exploring the principles that had made the bridge possible. The breakthrough led to new forms of faster-than-light travel, instantaneous communication across vast distances, and deeper understanding of consciousness itself. But perhaps most importantly, the story of the rescue spread throughout both civilizations, becoming a symbol of what different species could achieve together. In meeting halls on Earth, and in the crystalline chambers of Nixian ships, children of both species would learn about the day when humanity reached across the gulf of space and time to save a stranded people. 1 month after the rescue, Alina stood at the Hyperion's observation window, watching a Nixian ship demonstrate their newly integrated propulsion technology. Its hull sparkled with a combination of biocrystals and quantum field generators, representing the first true fusion of both species sciences. "Thinking deep thoughts, Commander?" Xylith asked, approaching soundlessly. "Just wondering what else is out there," Alina replied, gesturing to the star-filled void. "How many other species might be waiting to be discovered, each with their own unique ways of seeing the universe? And now we can search for them together." Xylith's form pulsed with optimistic colors. "Perhaps that was the true purpose of our encounter, not just survival, but showing the galaxy that different forms of life can do more than simply coexist. They can unite to become something greater than the sum of their parts." Alina smiled, feeling echoes of the collective consciousness still resonating in her mind, a permanent reminder of the bridge they had built between two species. As the Hyperion prepared for its next mission, she knew that this was just the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure.